Shut up and sit down.
That's the roof done. Decals are on. So, light weathering. Rub down with a wet cotton bud. And quick check. The LEDs are still doing what they should. There you go. So that's now ready to be attached to the inside of the top deck of the bus. So I'm going to glue that in place because I want the roof fixed. So that's what I'll do with that one. Right, a little bit of soldering going on for these little two wires. So, for the upper deck lighting, roof's just taped in place. I want to get these now connected. I've just tested that the wires will work. So I can now solder them together so that I can put on the rear enclosure of the bus and start treating all the seams where the joins are ready for the last little bit of paint, and then I can go round and snag fit everything and just double check that I'm happy and can get on with the final preparations for the weathering. Just a quick little bit of soldering on here. Excuse my shakes, people. It's a bad day today. Just find something to grip to stop myself from shaking. That's better. So that's them soldered now. So that means I can get on and finish off some of the lighting. Like I was saying before, every time I do a connection, I then test it with a battery. Well, now I've got to the point where I'm drawing more current than a 1.5 volt D cell can provide, so I'm using my mains adapter now to put the juice through it. I know everything works. I've tested it. I don't want to spoil the video by demonstrating what the lighting's doing at this stage. That will be for the reveal at the end, but I literally have tested every single bulb that I've got around the bus, both inside the roof sections, front indicators, headlights, side lights, as I've been going along, and every single one works as it should. I was going to record the testing process, but I didn't want to spoil the end result of the reveal, so I'm in two minds as to whether to show that on camera. I think the reveal will be self-explanatory, but it really is a matter of just testing everything you've done, every single connection, double check it, plug it in, think, yeah, that works, and then solder it. And then when I've soldered it, I retest it. But yeah, so that's the soldering done on there, so I can unplug in the soldering iron now and let that cool down. Absolute godsend. Get yourselves a soldering station if you're doing LEDs. You know, they are reasonably priced. You don't need nothing too extravagant, as long as it does what you want it to do. That's the key. You know, I just find that a soldering station for me is self-contained, a bit more compact, a hell of a lot more controllable, I find. And just move the little lead plane over. Yeah, they come in pretty damn useful, especially for stuff like this. I'm just gonna send me camera up the way just so that I've got a bit of room. And I'll just wind a little bit of Tamiya tape around the soldered joint. I could use heat shrink, but I did find earlier on in the build where I was using heat shrink, it was pretty much doing the same job as what this is doing, and I tape all these down anyway, because obviously I'm trying to conceal wires as best I can, so I want them as tightly wound as I can get them. And sometimes the heat shrink just doesn't give me that pliability, big word of the day, pliability, that I want out of the wires. So I just use a bit of good old Tamiya tape, because once the cover's on there, it's not going to move anyway, but I can just get these wires down out of the way. And they're hidden. You know, that's the beauty of doing what I did by cutting out channels earlier and making all the boxes, and obviously test fitting everything. I know all of this fits underneath the piece I'm about to put in, because I've test fitted it all. You know, I've already done all of this once. But, it just lets you double check that everything is how you want it to be. And then I just put a little piece over here because I'm going to be whacking in some glue shortly. So I want to try as much as I can to protect the wires, just in case the glue does decide it wants to eat into the insulation. I'm not going to get a short circuit. Tape done. And then this section now, I'll slide straight over all of that and in place. Okay? Bob's your uncle. And that is pretty much where I'm at the moment. So I'm going to get some glue that in place, bit of tape around it just to hold it, and let it all dry, and then I'll come back and do any seam filling that I need to do, which I can already see along the roof. It's a little bit scabby. This is why I'm gluing my roof down. You'll probably find this in your buses as well. You'll end up with some quite nasty seamage going on. With a bit of filling and a bit of gluing, I can get that to sit down where I want it to. Get everything where I need it to be, so that I can go around and tidy it all up, blend all the different panels together, because obviously at different stages different panels have been done and they're a little bit out from each other. This little section here hasn't really been weathered that much because of trying to get it to blend later. All in all, she's coming together reasonably well, and next stage will be building the 555 timing circuit to flash the indicator lenses. tidy up the spaghetti there so that I can put my timer's motherboard just in that little hole, and then I can put my panel on, and that is then ready for all the windows to go in, which currently are drying off after being soaked in clear. I'll leave a couple of windows to one side, and I'll show you that process as well, what I use. You often hear the word clear used throughout modelers' videos. For those of you that don't know, it's a gloss varnish that us modelers have hijacked over the years. It saves you a few quid on gloss varnish, so I'll be going through that in more detail and explaining where you can get the product from, and different products that will do the same thing, just in case you can't get it in your country. So I'm going to go off and start persuading this to comply. When I come back, there'll be tape around different areas, so don't fret too much about that, and then I'll go through how I get rid of my seams and get ready then for the exterior weathering, and start putting on the homemade posters that I've done, and I'll go through the process I use to print my own decals, what paper I use, the process, what I seal everything with, or fix the ink with, and then trimming them, applying them, etc. For those of you out there that want to make your own decals, or don't like a particular decal you've got and would like to put something a bit more meaningful to you in, which is what I'm doing on this bus. It's got my favourite rock bands all round it. A lot of people probably think, why didn't you put on the Cream Crackers advert? Well, I like certain music. It's my bus, and I wanted to make it a bit more personal to me, which is what you guys can do. So yeah, the whole idea of these builds is to get something that you guys are happy with. I'm looking at this now, and I can still see a few bits and pieces around it that I'm not particularly fond of, so I shall be attacking this quite aggressively just to get it to a condition that I'm happier with it, and then start sourcing the parts for the diorama, because I think it needs one. So yeah, I'll figure that out on what I'm going to put in it. Nothing too fancy, but just something in keeping with the era. So yeah, it'll probably just be a small street scene or something with a bus stop, a couple of people sitting at the bus stop, that type of thing, which will give me somewhere then to put my power pack that's going to power this baby, which again I'll show you how to hide and conceal power packs within a diorama. A lot of people build dioramas and won't, don't actually go through how or what they're doing to hide this, but this will actually be detachable from the diorama and the power source. It's literally a jack plug just sat underneath there. So I've got to figure out how to make that an easy process as well, and then we can go ahead and build the diorama, give you guys some ideas, and we'll go from there. So if you're watching this, this is 2017 at the moment, May. I'm looking at probably starting the diorama in a month, because I've got a little egg build to build for the model maker's boom hut. So if there's something you particularly think would work well in the diorama for this, we've got a month or so before I start it, just put up something on my YouTube channel, and I'll see if I can get that included for you. So I'm going to go and glue this now, and when we come back, we'll start scene filling. Right, out with the epoxy for the next little bit, which is, I'll bring the bus in. I've made up the circuit board. Just to see if I can zoom in for you. So we'll try and zoom in for you and get that sorted out so that we can see what we're doing. Basically, this little circuit board controls the indicators, and what we've got a little 555 timing chip, ordinary capacitor, little ceramic capacitor, and 2 resistors on there. I will go into detail at the end of the build. I might even interject it shortly on how I make this little circuit board. There's all the soldering on the back. What this does is this operates both front and rear indicators, left and right, off of one circuit board, but allows you to put 2 switches in. So you can have a switch for the near side, switch for the off side, or left and right, whichever way you want to call them. All running off of one power supply. Nice little neat circuit, about the size of a postage stamp. You know, that's my thumb next to it, so I can hide that in this little cubby hole in here on the bus. You'll also notice, if I zoom back out, that I've started decaling the bus as well. Now that all the lights and that are in, the roof is on, it's had a little coat of weathering, but my own custom decals have gone on, microset and sole. They're a bit shiny at the moment because they've had a coat of gloss varnish. It's just so that I can see any little pieces that I'm not happy with, straight away into the air bubble, you know, get rid of that. You know, let that settle down. But yeah, so the decals are on all the way around, so I can pretty much start weathering. But I'm at that stage at the moment where I've just got to finish off the electrics. So before I can bury this in the cubby, I'm actually going to coat this with epoxy resin. I tend to use JB Weld quickset and epoxy. I'll mix the 2 parts together and then I'll spread it over the contacts of the circuit board using just an old offcut of styrene. So that's what we're going to be doing at this moment. So I'm just going to move my camera up out of the way a tad. Excuse the really annoying squeak, I must oil that. Just so that I can mix up a little bit of epoxy, because I want this to set overnight. Excuse me. So a nice big blob on there because I'm doing both sides of this. Gives that a bit of a mix-a-rooney. This stuff I tend to use all the time on my boards. just a little bit of protection for the wires, because you know where I'm whacking it in quite a confined space, the last thing I want is any of the wires shorting out. So I give that a good generous coat of the JB World, and like I say, both sides will get done, but I'm going to do one for tonight, let this side cure, and then come back at the other side in the morning before I bury this forever. Well, I say forever, it's going to have a little access panel so that I can still get to it, but where I want to tuck it away, I kind of want it accessible but not accessible, if that makes any sense. Just don't want it shorting out on other stuff. So I literally have slapped pretty much quite a fair bit on there.
Slap it on.
But it just lets me go about what I want to do with it. Spin that round like so, and then I can wallop a load on there and all. It is a bit messy at this stage, but where it's all dripping and that, I don't mind that, because it's all gonna pretty much be covered. I tend not to cover the chip though. The reason being is it does get a bit hot, and so I tend to try to leave the chip exposed if at all possible, or as much of the chip exposed. My main aim is the wiring side of things, and the resistors, and any exposed areas of the board. Looks worse than it is. But once it cures, it'll just give that all a bit of protection. Happy days. Quite a bit of this is going to drip off, I know that. I'm not too fussed, but it just enables everything to, you know, settle down and have a bit of a coat. So what you all been up to? Hope you're all frantically building away and keeping your hobby going. This has been a bit of a labour of love for me, this build. But a lot of people knock Revell kits that I come across, you know, on various groups and sites, and the general consensus is, well, you know, Revell can be a bit of a bind when you're working on their kits. So I just wanted to do this little project as a little way of saying, well, not every kit is a pain. You can make something out of them with a little effort, a little application. Yeah, it's a lot of work, but I think it's worth doing. I'm looking around the kit at the moment. Yeah, I'm quite happy with it, reasonably happy with it. Considering what I'm going for, which is a used, abused bus. I want to sort of clear that up. This is me intentionally going for a real gnarly, dirty, knackered, coming to the end of its life, bless it, Routemaster bus that's been around the houses a bit, but all in all, I'm pleasantly pleased with how it's coming out. I'm looking at the bits that I want to continue to weather, age, whatever. So yeah, I'm pretty chuffed all in all. I've had some nice feedback from people that have been watching this build progress. All feedback is welcome, positive and negative. I'm not the best. Don't pretend to be. But, I'll try my damnedest to experiment with my builds. I'm open to sort of different ideas, plans, all kinds of shenanigans as to what you can and can't do with a model is down to your imagination. There's a few things I'm looking at that I've done on this that might have done a little bit differently, but it functions, it does what I want it to do, it does what it says on the tin. I thought the LED system would be a lot more challenging. Not saying it hasn't been. I've had a few head scratching moments with it, but a lot of that was my own doing, where I had wired stuff up to test fit and test all the lighting. I'd forgotten that I had actually wired the indicators in to run power through them to check function, and of course when it comes to putting this circuit board on, I couldn't for the life of me figure out why the damn things wouldn't flash. And then I looked at the main wiring for the lights and realised that I had them hand twisted onto the main interior light circuit just to run juice through the bulbs as I was soldering and running wires. I'm like a complete and utter burk. I had forgotten or had lost my train of thought on it, and like I say, once I disconnected the whole indicator lighting circuit and bypassed it into the board, as soon as I switched it on, bang, there it was. So yeah, even the best of us can get caught out with things where we've put a build down and come back to it a period of time later. So yeah, the adverts again are very personal to me. What I shall do at the end of the build is I shall put this on a rotating turntable and go through what I've done, why I've done it, how I've done it, just as a little recap. For those of you that are interested in doing your own decals, that's what you can achieve, so you don't necessarily have to use the model's own decals. All I did is scanned the originals in on Photoshop, and then I scaled my pictures up to how they appeared on screen, just stretched them out and dropped them over the scanned image, so that I got the sizing accurate, and printed them out on ordinary A4 paper first, and test fitted the A4 paper on before I used decal paper, just in case there were any sizing issues where I needed to increase the size, which on this one I did. I originally I printed out the A4 and it was about a quarter of an inch too narrow and too short. So I'm glad I didn't pour a load of decal paper through to do that. So that's what I tend to do whenever I print my own decals, is I use a piece of ordinary A4 first, cut them out, just lay them on the model just to see whether or not any fine adjustment needs to be done. And then so when you're using the proper decal paper, you're not wasting it. So it is a little expensive. Inkjet works better than laserjet. So if you can use an inkjet printer, then do so. Be it at work or at the library or whatever. You know, run it through one of them. Bear in mind, use white decal paper because you can't print white. 90% of models you're going to use white paper and you just cut really close to the decal. Can use clear decal paper, but like I say, the decal's got any white on it, it's going to come out transparent. So you would need to, say for instance this one, if this was on clear, any white, I'd have had to have painted the back of this white, then put the decal over it. Otherwise it's going to be transparent and you'll lose the effect. Quite an example on that would be the Union flag on the front. So let's just see whether I can tilt apparent. What would happen is none of this white would appear. So all you would have is the blue section, then the black writing. You would lose the white, the red, because obviously where you haven't got any white is going to show through the colour of the bus. So that's why I use white decal paper. Little things like that catch you out. I had it on a plane I done a while back. Printed the wing transfers for it, the RAF circles, and of course the colours didn't come out as vibrant, and obviously white doesn't print. So it was quick, hastily ordered some white decal paper, and it was problem solved. So just one for you, you know, I tend to religiously stick to white decal paper now, and I just cut literally right to the edge of the decal. So that's pretty much where we're at with this at the moment. Like I say, I've got to let me resin cure. Once that's cured, I can then get on with the rest of the protecting the circuit, and I think it's going to look okay. It's going to sort itself out quite nicely. Then I'll be able to tuck this in out, you know, sort out my audio, connect that all up, and then hide all the wiring and put the cover on, and then we can start weathering the underside of the bus then. So that's where I'm going to leave it for today, just so that we can come back to her when we're a little bit more dry and cured, and I can tidy all of this lot up, go round, put the final decals on, which I'll go through with you, and then I can weather the final stages of the whole bus then, because a lot of the weathering's been done. Now the decals are on, I've got to give them a little bit of treatment. So I might as well do the whole exterior again at once, just so that everything flows. So we are getting quite close on this one to diorama time. sorting out where I can hide the power pack, which is going to sit with 4 batteries in there, 1.5 volts. So it's going to pull 6 volts in total. This little power pack has its own power on off switch built into it. You can get them without switches, but I've got a huge box full of switches anyway, so if I've bought any and I haven't got the switch, I'll just pop my own switch in anyway, because they come with a cutout. This is a quick soldering job. But that's going to be hidden in the diorama, that. So I'll be able to lift the bus off the diorama and unplug it, because it's got a little jack plug that goes in underneath. So that's going to be in the diorama with the power pack feeding it, and then I just drop the bus on it, then sits on this and power goes through, and then when I lift it off, you know, show people or whatever, Bob's your uncle. So that'll be hidden away, which I'll talk you through, because when it comes to doing the diorama, I'll show that start to finish like I did on the Sweet Cat Jackal build. And it, you know, for anyone that's a first time diorama person, it'll let you see what's involved. So I'm going to pause there for a moment. When I come back, this board will be cured. We'll install that and start demonstrating how I do the audio. Got to make some modifications to that as well. Put my board down somewhere. Oh, there it is. Got that caught on something. There you go. So I've got to sort this out. That's the main circuit board for the audio. Currently running off of 3 batteries, but I want to run it off the actual power supply that sits under here. So I'm going to lose these 3 batteries, connect them all together and have them run off of a switch. These 2 short wires actually go to the speaker. Originally this was going to sit in there, but as you can see, it's a bit bigger, and no matter how much I tried to move things around and that, the board wasn't going to go how I wanted it to. So I've now decided to put the board underneath the back of the bus next to the speaker. So I'll show you how I'm going to lose that and blend that into the kit. So that's my next protocol, is to remove all of this, replace it with cables that then go to the switch, rejoin the speaker back into its correct terminals, and then I'll record my audio, and the main power then will be activated through 2 connections on here that work off the switch. So when I flick the switch, it's going to send current through and it will activate. So that's the next little bit of electronics wizardry that I'm going to be doing. Little greetings card setup that is. Again, a couple of quid on the Amazon, but money well spent. All in all, we've not done too bad on this kit. You know, it's taken a little while longer than I thought it would. My fault, because originally I wasn't going to light it, and then I got to looking at it and thought, you know something, for a Revell kit I could do a little bit more to this one, for its size, its scale. Yeah, so again, you know, if there's any of you out there that haven't done LED lighting, you know, get yourself a student's electronics kit off of Amazon or eBay, 10-15 quid a pop, and play with it. you know, I talk about that quite extensively in my electronics part of this build. I'm going to be breaking that into some tutorials as well, which will be in the other section on my YouTube channel. So yeah, you know, I'll talk about how I tend to do things. It might, you know, give you that incentive to have a go yourselves. And again, if you're not too sure, or you start a lighting circuit and you're having some issues, bung me an email and I'll gladly answer your questions. Pardon me. Might take me a couple of hours to get back to you. Depends on what time zone you're in and what I'm in and what my work commitments are. But I can assure you I will get back to you. So get in touch, ask the questions, and I'll endeavour to work something out. You know, if that means I'll build a lighting circuit for you, I'll happily sit here and build you a lighting circuit and send it out to you. No problem doing that. Just let me know what you want. So I'm going to pause and let that cure, and then we'll continue to build.